Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure to like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And Biden keeps tanking. He keeps tanking. What can I say? And there was this study. I believe that I referenced it a couple videos ago. I found it. It shows that 20% of Biden voters in 2020 would like to take their vote back, compared to roughly 3 to 5% who regret their vote for Donald Trump. And this kind of tells you a lot about the current state of affairs. Is it 20% or is this just one poll? Obviously, we could talk about that because, yes, sometimes polls will have methodology errors and maybe it's not 20%, but let's say that it is 10%. All right, that's still a drop of 5% of Biden support, but I think 20% might be accurate, because that would mean that his approval rating would be roughly around 40% right now, and that's so true. And also, you also have to take into consideration that some people may disapprove of Biden, but also not really regret voting for them because they think that Trump is worse than Biden or something, but that's beside the point. What we do know is that there is a lot of Biden regret, and it is going to hurt the Democrats in the midterms, because you're not going to turn out and you're not going to vote in the midterms to essentially give Biden more legislative ammunition to do whatever he wants to do. You're not going to do that. And I wanted to analyze the polling aggregate today. I wanted to analyze the trajectory of the polling aggregate, as well as looking through the crosstabs of arguably one of the only polls which I will trust the crosstabs in, the Barris poll, the People's Pundit Daily poll from People's Pundit Polling. So we will get into this, but the Zogby poll right here, and the Zogby's not really a right-wing pollster. Zogby, well, they weren't really that inaccurate in 2020, but in 2004, they were the ones that were like, oh, John Kerry, he's got this in the bag, and nothing would really change that. He's going to go out there, he's going to even win Florida, and then Florida goes to Bush by a likely margin. So we know Zogby's not the most right-leaning pollster, at least not in history. But you look at this, and you show how many states were close in 2020. It's true. So many states were close. If you take this number into even, bring it down to 3%, Trump wins Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, etc. in 2024. And Kamala Harris probably is even lower than Biden is right now, because nobody really likes Kamala Harris. In fact, it'd be like Christmas for Republicans in 2024 if she's the nominee. But a lot of this, and obviously when you compare it to Donald Trump, yeah, Donald Trump doesn't have as much regret. Some regret is there, but it's like 3 to 5% or something like that. But you look at this, a lot of men regret voting for Biden compared to women. Again, women, we have talked about, are more likely on average to trust the media, especially suburban women. But that's beside the point. Ethnicity, 33% of Hispanics. And this is part of the realignment that we're seeing in South Texas. You look at McAllen, a big city. I believe it's like 85% Hispanic. Mayorship flipped into Republican hands earlier this year. Black voters, 25% regret, although even though the black voters that regret it, I don't even know if it's that high. And honestly, even if 25% regret, I don't think that means they would have preferred to vote for Trump in comparison. And white voters were less likely to regret voting for Biden, which is a really interesting development. And it might show that Republicans may be able to gain a little bit more with Hispanics, and white suburbanites are more stubborn in their ways. Not saying that whites in general not regret their vote for Biden, but a much smaller percentage of whites than Hispanics and blacks ended up voting for Biden when you look at the percentages within the races here. But looking at this, and also you could see this, urban voters actually were more likely to regret than suburban voters and rural voters as well, which is also very interesting. And maybe we will see a realignment within more Hispanic voters in places like Houston and Dallas, where Donald Trump did make gains. But that's yet to be seen. All in all, the approval polls are in. The verdict is in. Biden started out, and I have a lot of skepticism for the polls. Just because Biden is underwater doesn't mean that I'm going to fully trust them now. I know the election mafia. If you look in these samples, D+8, D+6, D+10, even after they've been weighted. So I don't really trust them in full. But you look at this in Biden, he started off, let's assume the polls are right, he started off +20, And eventually it closed. It was plus 10. It was even before Afghanistan, they were closing. Eventually after Afghanistan, he goes underwater. And now that it's been out of the news cycle for a week or two, a lot of people would say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe Biden would see a rebound. We don't see it yet. And I don't know if we will, because I think Afghanistan is more of a symptom of his dip than a cause of his dip. And we're seeing that disapproval rating nearing 50%. He's down -4. That's exactly where Donald Trump was in the exit polls in 2020. Put him head to head, and a lot of these polls that I'm seeing have the popular vote either really close neck and neck, or Donald Trump is up by 1, 3. I think we've even seen 6 in the popular vote, which would be really interesting to see. But it seems as if a lot more people are waking up in this country to the Biden administration. He doesn't have any accomplishments. So the regret is strong. He doesn't have any accomplishments. What's the accomplishment? He passed forth this bill that gave people stimulus checks. Okay, that's probably all what people really voted him for in the first place, is just more handouts in the short term. But a lot of people understand the long-term ramifications of it, mainly because a lot of companies have a labor shortage because people are rather taking the handouts that contribute to the national debt than getting jobs. Able-bodied people who could work, who could get those jobs, aren't quite getting them at the rate that they should be, and that's part of it. We also have inflation out of control, gas prices out of control. That hits people where it hurts, because even if you're not political, as long as you drive a vehicle, which is most of the population over the age of even 16, then obviously it would be an issue for you if gas is getting out of control. That's also important. Afghanistan obviously ties into this, as well as his leadership. Everything past the Afghanistan point, he has not taken questions from the press in an adequate manner. He is sheepish. He is sluggish. He's perfectly fitting the stereotype that Republicans have created regarding Biden, which is true, by the way. It's a true stereotype, that he's unfit to serve, that he is somebody who has some sort of mental condition, whether it is Alzheimer's or mild dementia. By the way, ice cream is a recommended food that is supposed to lessen the symptoms of dementia. So maybe that's why he's eating it all the time. I don't know. But we're not going to get into that. I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose the guy, but something is up with him. I think everybody knows something's up. I don't know what it is, but I know something is up with him. And the people know this by now. They do. I think that Donald Trump needs to stay on his positive trajectory headed forward ahead of 2024. He has the ability to go out there and to correct what went wrong in 2020, to go out there and to win big in 2024, regardless of everything, and I mean everything that they're going to throw at him. It's not going to be enough. No matter what they do, it won't be enough next time if this keeps up. It just won't, because he is vastly underwater. They can't cover for their boy anymore after a certain point. It's true. And look at these polls. All these polls, obviously, Morning Consult had him plus 20, plus 25. The only poll that has him over water is IBD, TIPP, which had him in the 60s a couple of months ago. And even then, we know these polls vastly oversample Democrats even after they have been weighted, and they're not really reflective of the midterm electorate, because right now Biden's approval is 45 and it's dipping. Trump's approval was 45 during the 2018 midterms, when Republicans lost 45 seats in the House, when they lost a good share of governorships, when they lost a lot of Senate races that they probably could have flipped if it was a presidential year or not a blue wave year, at least to the magnitude that it was. But now we look at Biden. He's in a very similar rut. He's in a very similar spot. He's going underwater as we speak right now. He is diving under that water, and a red wave seems to be on the horizon at this rate. At least in the House. The Senate is a little bit different, but even then I think Republicans are going to retake it. Will they get to 54? Hopefully, but I mean, that does seem like the ceiling for Republicans at this rate, mainly because the map is just not really in their favor, but we'll see. There's a lot to look over, but there's also a poll that was not included in this that was even worse for Biden, had him down -9. Men and women in the crosstabs are roughly even, which I question that, but the other crosstabs look interesting. The white crosstab looks pretty accurate. A lot of polls typically overestimate Democrats with white voters. I believe it's because white liberals are more likely to answer the phone, but Barris is corrected for that. fact many times. You look at the Hispanic and you see this, Hispanic voters, half and half. That might be believable. That might be. I think Republicans could top 40% with Hispanics in the 2022 midterms. I do, in the House. I don't think that that's outlandish to say. They got in the 30s, mid to high 30s with Donald Trump. It seems as if they could easily crack 40 in a red wave year and probably get around 40 in 2022. What happens beyond that, I don't know. But it seems as if the tides are shifting. White, college-educated voters are moving a little bit to the left. If Republicans are going to play their cards right among Hispanic voters, they could add some more to their camp that are more economically moderate but socially conservative, of which there are many. But also independents are underwater by 23 points. If that number is anywhere close to being true, which it could be, then Biden is going to be in a whole lot of trouble, as well as the Democrats in 2022. I think Biden will resign after the midterms. I think he'll resign sometime in early 2023 due to age concerns. I think Kamala Harris will take over. And obviously from there, 2024 is going to get really interesting. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle out.